The public health crisis facing the middle-aged. A shocking report reveals 80% of 40 to 60-year-olds are overweight, drinking too much and not exercising enough. Also tonight, Trump urges Israel to stay strong as the White House races to save the Middle East peace process. Anger at the hospitals who've made millions charging patients to park. And Sir Bradley bows out. Britain's most decorated Olympian retires from cycling.
This is ITV News with Julie Etchingham.
Good evening. There was a stark warning for the middle-aged today. 80% of 40 to 60-year-olds in England are overweight, drink too much or get too little exercise. It's creating a health crisis which puts millions at risk from a host of unnecessary diseases, including diabetes. Researchers say desk jobs, fast food and the daily grind are mostly to blame, with the so-called sandwich generation too busy caring for children and ageing parents to look after themselves. Rebecca Barry reports.
Desk jobs, lack of exercise, fast food and stress. A toxic lifestyle lived by too many middle-aged people. As a result, experts warn the vast majority either weigh too much, drink too much or don't exercise enough. Lee was one of them, but now getting to the gym is an important part of his routine. He's 41 and a few months ago weighed 22.5 stone until he changed his lifestyle.
Coming home after 12-hour shifts, it was a case of I do the cooking, and sometimes it was reaching for the takeaway menu or ordering a pizza, something quick to eat, to juggle around work-life balance. I've lost 5 stone, 1.5 pounds to date in 16 weeks. It's changed my life completely.
The Health Survey for England suggests 83% of 40 to 60-year-olds are either drinking too much alcohol, are inactive or are overweight or obese. That's increased by 16% in the last 20 years. And the rate of diabetes amongst this age group has also doubled.
In the last 30 years particularly, with the rise of 3 big problems, the car, the computer and the desk job, the environment has completely shifted. So we're not telling people, oh, you're ignorant or you're lazy. We're saying, look, the world has changed. We're in a different environment.
In the past, public health messages have concentrated on the young and the elderly, but now the focus is on so-called midlifers, the sandwich generation, who are perhaps caring for their children and their ageing parents, then neglecting to take care of themselves.
Very tight schedule, very busy schedule, having to work.
You just need some time, maybe to yourself, be a bit selfish. Just think I'm going to go out a little bit earlier.
I couldn't wait to get back into the gym after Christmas, having had a very sedentary Christmas.
So people are being encouraged to complete this online health quiz to highlight problems and ways they can take action. Lee is now training for a marathon. Health experts hope other middle-aged people like him will be inspired to change their lifestyles. Rebecca Barry, ITV News.
And if you want to find out how healthy you are, you can take that Public Health England questionnaire on our website, itv.com/news. Now, as the clock counts down to the end of the Obama White House, outgoing Secretary of State John Kerry made a last-ditch plea today to salvage peace in the Middle East between the Israelis and Palestinians. In a major speech, he warned the two-state solution is now in jeopardy and had strong words for Israel over its building of settlements on occupied land. But throughout the day, President-elect Donald Trump kept ratcheting up the tension, urging Israel to stay strong until he assumes office next month. From Washington, Martin Geisler reports.
John Kerry wanted this speech to be a parting shot, a diplomatic message to the Middle East from an outgoing administration. Every carefully chosen word designed to drive home the message that peace is still possible in the region if all sides play their part.
Because the two-state solution is the only way to achieve a just and lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians. It is the only way to ensure Israel's future.
His toughest words, perhaps, reserved for the contentious issue of Israeli settlements, homes being built by the Israelis in the occupied West Bank. Just last week, the United States failed to veto a UN resolution calling on Israel to stop the building. It was seen by many in Jerusalem as an act of betrayal. Relations between the two countries hit an all-time low, but Mr. Kerry was unrepentant today.
It is not this resolution that is isolating Israel. It is the permanent policy of settlement construction that risks making peace impossible. And virtually every country in the world other than Israel opposes settlements.
And so into this hothouse strode Donald Trump today, delivering a typically undiplomatic message over Twitter. We cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect, he said. They used to have a great friend in the US, but not anymore. The beginning of the end was the horrible Iran deal, and now this, UN. Stay strong, Israel. January the 20th is fast approaching. A handful of sentences that will have reverberated around the Middle East with far more volume than anything Mr. Kerry had to say. And within minutes, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had tweeted a reply. President-elect Trump, thank you for your warm friendship and your clear-cut support for Israel, he said. And so John Kerry's words were all but drowned out today by the sound of what appears to be a new alliance being formed. Indeed, in the last few minutes, Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a statement decrying what he called a biased and skewed speech by Mr. Kerry. He said it dealt obsessively with the issue of settlements and ignored the root of the problem, which was, he said, Palestinian opposition to a Jewish state. Of course, he knows, and the whole of the Middle East knows, that what's important now is not what the outgoing administration here might think, but what the new president, Donald Trump, will do when he takes office in a little over 3 weeks' time.
Martin, thank you. One woman has died and another is fighting for her life after a major crash involving around 20 vehicles in Oxfordshire. The accident happened in heavy fog early this morning on the A40 near Witney. Many others were also injured, with wreckage blocking the carriageway for half a mile. An air and sea search has been going on all day for 2 men missing after a fishing boat capsized northeast of Ramsgate in the Channel. A third man who was spotted clinging to the hull was safely rescued. And almost 100 people have been arrested in a major clampdown on illegal working in nail bars. The operation also discovered 14 people described as potentially being at risk of modern slavery. Patients' groups have condemned hospital car parking charges in England after it was revealed they're making more money for the NHS trusts than ever before. Last year, they collected more than £120 million, a 5% increase on the previous year. The Patients' Association say it's unfair because the most sick, those who need to make repeated visits, end up paying the most, and because in Scotland and Wales, people can park for free. Ben Chapman has more.
The health service is supposed to be free, but patients and relatives arriving at Good Hope Hospital today will tell you it's anything but. The trust which runs it raised more money from car parking in the last year than any other. In total, nearly £5 million.
I think it's extortion. I think it's really, really dear, really, for the wait. I mean, an hour, nearly £4.
Why should you have to pay them prices? Just like decided to take my mum to get her appointment.
If it's going to the care, then I suppose it all helps.
But here, it isn't. The trust says it's spent on things like security, parking management services and maintenance, though it does offer discounts for regular visitors. In all, the hospital trusts that responded to the survey about parking charges made £120 million last year. That's a record number, up 5% on the year before, and it includes more than £600,000 in parking fines.
There's a problem if hospitals are charging staff and patients in order to raise revenue. It seems to be the wrong people to be raising revenue from. You know, if you're charging patients, it becomes a tax on illness.
Campaigners say it's also unfair that English patients pay while those in Scotland and Wales don't. But others say hospitals couldn't afford to scrap the charges and patients would suffer.
I think it's a necessary evil. No one likes paying the charges, but without them, hospital car parks would fill up with shoppers, with commuters. No patients could find a car parking space at all.
The government says there are guidelines to make sure those who need help get it. But patients' groups say charging the sick to visit hospital is hardly in the spirit of the NHS. Ben Chapman, ITV News, Sutton Coldfield.
And finally, it's the end of the road for Britain's greatest ever cyclist. Sir Bradley Wiggins has announced his retirement, ending a glittering career in which he won just about the lot. 5 Olympic gold medals, the Tour de France, and World Championships on both the track and the road. Angus Walker looks back at the achievements of a sporting icon.
The race for gold underway, 16 laps.
Sir Bradley Wiggins became Britain's most decorated Olympian in August with another gold on the track in Rio. One of 5 golds, 8 Olympic medals in all at 5 consecutive games. Victories also on the road. In 2012 he became the first British winner of the Tour de France. His winning streak and enthusiasm raised the status of cycling in Britain.
You know, in England it's football and every childhood's dream is to lift the FA Cup at Wembley or whatever. And this is like my Wembley, you know.
His win in London saw a cycling superstar crowned and a royal invitation followed. Arise, Sir Bradley Wiggins. He'd hinted at retirement but finally made his decision public with a statement today. 2016 is the end of the road for this chapter, onwards and upwards, feet on the ground, head in the clouds. Kids from Kilburn don't win Olympic golds and Tour de France's, they do now.
Bradley was the one I always idolised when I was growing up. Having him hang his Olympic gold medal around my neck when I was such a young girl, it was inspirational and I'll never forget that.
Cycling owes a huge debt to Sir Bradley Wiggins. He achieved so much in his own unique style. Angus Walker, ITV News.
And that is it. I'll be back with the late news at 10 past 10. Till then, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.